Wow, this here is a gorgeous, gorgeous display. And this iPad Pro with the M4 processor is powerful. But let me tell you guys why you probably shouldn't buy this. So let's unbox it, set it up for the first time, and I'm going to tell you guys why you probably should not buy this. Today's video, what we have is we have the iPad M4 Pro. Now this is going to be a 13-inch model. You can see it is a massive box, but surprisingly it's a very lightweight box. So let's unbox it, set it up, see what's new and what's going on with the iPad M4 Pro. Alright, so once you lift up the box, inside we have the space gray iPad Pro. Again, this is a 13-inch model. I'm going to lift this up real quick. Now, I will let you know, it feels very light, and obviously it is going to be very thin. We'll look at those details in a second, but right over here we have this little insert that says designed by California, so I'm going to lift that up. And here we have the USB Type-C cable, which is a black cable, and of course we have the charger right here. That cable, by the way, is nice, and it's braided as you can see, and it's probably black because the iPad itself is black. So if you get the white model, you'll get the white cable, but the charger is going to remain white no matter what. And here we have some basic user guide, but that's about it. That's all you get in the box. All right, so let's do a quick tour around the device. Now the first thing I want to look at is the camera that's on the top right over here. So that's going to be a 12 megapixel camera. There's only going to be one camera. We have the LiDAR scanner, which is this big black circle. This little circle is a microphone, and then you have the LED flash. So that's the camera. All right, so next up, on the top, we have the power button. We've got the volume rockers here and here, volume up, volume down. And then if I look over here at the bottom, we have the smart connector. That's for the Apple keyboard. And then also, on the top right here, not this side, but this side, we have the magnetic connector for the Apple Pencil. And of course, we have 4 speakers. So if you look at the bottom here, you'll see the USB Type-C port, the 2 speakers here and here. And of course, we have 1 speaker on the top on this side, another microphone that's in the middle, and then we have the speaker right next to it. This thing is extremely thin. There's no question about that. Now you can see it is actually really thin. That's 5.1 millimeters. Now this here is a Tab S9 Ultra, Samsung's flagship. That's supposed to be 5.5. There's not a huge difference, but definitely the iPad Pro looks a little bit thinner. Let's just zoom in a little bit. And you can see, again, not a huge difference, but it is in fact a little bit thinner. Now here's just another look here. You can see on the top, we've got the iPad Pro. At the bottom, we have the Tab S9 Ultra. All right, so here we have it. When we turn it on, we get the greeting, and then we swipe up. Then we can pick English, and then you can select a region or a country. And then you can actually choose an appearance. You want small, default, medium, or large, based on what's more comfortable for you. Tap on continue. Now you can do a quick start. If you already have an existing iPhone, you can bring it right next to this and it's going to set the whole thing up for you, such as your Wi-Fi and all that stuff. But if you don't have an iPhone or another iPad, what you can do is you can set up without another device. So the first thing you would do is you would connect to a Wi-Fi network. I'm going to do that right now. So we're joining right now. It's already connected. And I can tell you guys right now, this is actually a gorgeous display. This is going to be an OLED display. We'll look at the specs in a minute. Let's just set this up. All right, so it is going to be trying to activate my iPad. So that's going to take a few minutes. And then you are going to be logged in with your Apple ID. So we're good to go. It's saying that there's a software update. So I'm going to tap on update now. Okay, so we're going to get the latest stuff before we continue. And I recommend you do the same exact thing. And I'll be right back once it is, in fact, complete. All right, so the update is now complete. We are back on the screen. So I'm going to pick default. I'm going to tap on continue. It's going to ask me to quick start again. I'm going to tap on setup without the device. Now I'm in data and privacy. I'm going to tap on continue. And then I am going to set up the iPad myself, for myself, not for a child in my family, but for myself. So of course we have the Face ID biometrics. So I am going to set up that later. That's pretty easy to set up. You just look into it. It's going to set it up for you. But you do want to pick a passcode. For now, I'm going to make it something simple for the video. Okay, so then it's going to create the passcode. You can do the Face ID, and then we are going to be inside. You do have the option to transfer apps and data from other devices. Here's all the options from Android, iPad, whatever. I'm going to say don't transfer. I'm going to set up a fresh, brand new iPad. I'm going to log in with my Apple ID. And then a couple more taps and you're going to be in the main home screen, which is right here. Now, the very first thing I want to talk about quickly is the display, because that is one of the biggest upgrades. So let's go to the settings and talk about the display, which is going to be right here. So with the display, let's look at the dark mode here. Okay, I can already tell compared to the older iPads, the difference is pretty visible. Now, it may not be visible to an untrained eye, but to me, I can tell the difference between LED and OLED. And OLED is always better. Let's turn off the True Tone. We have some extreme brightness. This tablet can go up to 1000 nits of brightness for XDR content, and it's going to be able to go for 1600 nits of brightness when it's HDR content. We also have 120 Hz display refresh rate. That's the ProMotion, and that's why this thing feels super smooth. No different than any other iPad, but the fact that you have 120 Hz is always a plus. We do have an anti-reflective coating on this tablet. This tablet does not have the nano texture option, which I don't think a lot of people need. For most people, the regular anti-reflective coating that comes with all iPads works perfectly fine. Now, the display resolution is 2752 by 2064 pixels. That's 264 ppi. Great display, no question about that. Now, here's the problem though with this iPad. This has an M4 chip, which is going to be a powerful chip. But the problem is, with this interface, most people are not going to need all that power. You might just be better off with an iPad from a couple years ago, to be honest, if all you're going to do is basic stuff, just like going to the internet, watching Netflix movies or whatever. This one says it's an iPad Pro, so I would say this is better for professional users. Now let's quickly do some benchmarks. I'm going to show you guys how fast this thing is and whether or not you need that or not. But I do want to let you know, if I go to my settings and if I go to general and if I go down over here, actually up over here and go to software update, you can see it is running the latest iPad OS 17.5, which is a really great option for multitasking. So I can do really nice things like this. I can put that right there. I can tap this over here. It's in slide over mode. I can tap on full screen mode, or I can grab another application and I can just put it right next to it, as you can see. Okay, so that's great for multitasking. And it's extremely smooth, obviously. Not because it's the M4 chip, it's just because iPads are smooth just like this, all right? And I can swipe it away, no problem. So that would be multitasking. And I can also pull this down and I can do things like Stage Manager. As you can see, I can turn on Stage Manager, and that is even a little bit different styled multitasking. As you can see, I have these options right here. If I go up like this, boom, you can see they're right over here. With the Stage Manager, I can switch between apps like this, except for some apps that will default to the full screen. But I can also turn that off if I don't need it. And even though Stage Manager allows me to do things like this, kind of like a Windows interface, I can also resize the windows, as you can see, move them around. That is still not enough justification for the price point on this thing, because you can do all this stuff on the previous model iPad Pro. And also, most people don't work like this on the iPad. Of course, there's going to be a fringe that does it, but most people don't. Most people just don't even know the Stage Manager, and they're just in this regular interface, as you can see. But let's move on and talk about the benchmarks and see what's going on with the power levels of this iPad Pro M4. So let's go to Geekbench. Okay, this is the CPU benchmarking tool. It can also benchmark GPU, but it's better for CPU. I'm going to tap it. We're going to run a benchmark. Let's see what kind of numbers we get with this guy. I think it's going to be insane, because it's an M4 processor. All right, so here we have it. And all I can say is, holy moly. That is an insanely high score. Single core is 3641 for Geekbench CPU. Multi-core is 12,591. Now in comparison, here's the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 Ultra, which is Samsung's flagship tablet. And you can see the multi-core score and the single core score are significantly lower. We're looking at almost 50% less in performance. And of course, that is raw performance. Now, this happens to be a 256 gigabyte base model. So if you buy the 1 terabyte model or the 2 terabyte model, it might be even slightly faster. But this is more than enough. This is insane. That brings us back to whether or not you need this product, because everything most people can do on this guy, like browsing the web, watching movies, using Apple Pencil to take notes, maybe use some high-grade apps, even something like the Final Cut Pro, which is now available in the App Store. Let me just bring that up real quick. All that stuff can be done on an iPad from 2 to 3 years ago. So I am not sure why you would need this tablet, to be honest, especially at this price point, or for this one especially, starts at $1,300, can go all the way up over $2,000 based on storage. So yes, you can use Final Cut Pro on this one, but you can also use that on the last gen iPad Pro. Probably the same level of intensity and smoothness. Maybe the export times are going to be lower, obviously. But again, for $2,000, you can go and buy a MacBook M3 14-inch model, which is going to be faster than this guy, and of course it's going to be more diverse because it's a desktop operating system as opposed to the iPad OS. And I really don't know what else to say about this tablet. Yes, it's got a great display, but are you going to buy this just to watch movies? If you are, you probably shouldn't. Unless you have the money, then you can do whatever you want. But this thing is a beast, but it's an overkill beast for most people. If you're a top-end professional and you know you need that power for a certain app you're going to be using all the time, then this might be the correct way to go. And hopefully this is going to be your only computing device, so you're going to have to build your life and your workflow around the iPad Pro, around the apps available. But that is what I can tell you guys about the performance and as far as buying this device is concerned. Please do not buy this if you're just going to be using it for basic Netflix watching, web browsing, research, note-taking. All of that can be done on the previous gen or the iPad Air and even the iPad. But there's no question that the display on this thing is in fact beautiful compared to the previous generations. Not dramatically, but the improvements are there. It is brighter, it is more clear, it's got better blacks, it's got better brightness. It is certainly improved. And yes, it is thinner, but that's not a huge deal. But anyway, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop them down below. Let me know. For now, guys, have a fantastic day.